All right, so let's talk about Apollo Crews versus Kevin Owens, which was very good. So the show starts, well, this particular story starts with Apollo Crews hearing about him having to defend the Intercontinental Championship. And he thinks it's against Big E. So he goes up to Adam Pearce and he's complaining that he beat Big E. Aziz gave him the Nigerian nail, and there's no reason that we're going to see Big E. He doesn't deserve a rematch. Adam Pearce says, look, your opponent is Kevin Owens. And Big E will get his shot. When the time comes, he will get his shot. Later, Kevin Owens cuts a promo where he basically says, like, hey, it's been years since I fought for the Intercontinental title. This ought to be great. I wasn't looking forward to this. Like, I didn't expect it, but I'm definitely gonna take it, and this ought to be fun. This ought to be good. I'm gonna win the title. Then Big E says, that this, he comes onto screen and he's being sarcastic. He's also being very loud and jovial. So Big E has this real unique quality to how he can be condescending while still kind of being joyous and happy. While he's kind of still saying, like, you say that you jumped the line. You're a habitual line jumper. Which is, of course, a Charlie Murphy line. And that the title is his. And Kevin Owens kind of starts laughing with him and saying, well, yeah, maybe. But, not tonight. Tonight I'm going to win the title. And maybe you'll get your rematch, eventually. But, I'm going to win the title today. So good on me. So they have the match, and the match rocks. The match is very good. I didn't like the finish because it was a distraction roll-up. But the match was very good. Sami Zayn comes out on ringside, and he's talking about the status of the documentary. And he's still complaining about being screwed out of the Intercontinental Championship. He's criticizing the referee for, I believe it was her. He's criticizing the referee's count. And Commander Aziz kind of distracts Kevin Owens, who gives Apollo Crews the ability to get the roll-up pin. Immediately, Kevin Owens stuns Apollo Crews. Then Commander Aziz attacks him from behind and does a Nigerian nail, which is, if you remember, this is the Samoan spike, the old Umaga finish. It's not a bad move. I think it's kind of underrated. I mean, if you jam your thumb into somebody's throat, if you're a big guy and you jam your thumb into somebody's throat, that'll hurt. That's a sensitive body part hitting the guy in the throat. So when he goes down, Kevin Owens goes down. We get Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn then starts to dance hilariously over the fallen carcass of Kevin Owens, who just got hit with the Nigerian nail, and he is dancing around this guy. It was great. It was absolutely silly, but it was perfect for the scene. As he didn't have anything to do with this, but he was so glad to see Kevin Owens finally get what he had coming for brainwashing Logan Paul and all the horrible things he supposedly had done to one Sami Zayn. And now Sammy's juking all around him and dancing terribly. It's hilarious. So afterwards, Apollo Crews meets the new lady, Megan Morant. And he's, talking about Commander Aziz is off cleaning, KO's tears off of something. I didn't catch it, what it was. And he starts talking about how I don't really talk to new people. But then he's real excited that he beat Kevin Owens, and he wants her to listen. And he starts, oh, that's the sound of my Nigerian ancestors celebrating my victory. And he starts talking about cracking KO's hopes. And then Big E attacks him from behind. So Big E attacks Apollo Crews, beat him up. And then Commander Aziz and referees and stuff come out to stop the madness. So this was all very good. I enjoyed this. Now, next week, it will be Big E versus Apollo Crews for the Intercontinental Championship. That's the same show Daniel Bryan will be wrestling Roman Reigns on. So this ought to be a huge episode of SmackDown. It needs to do big numbers. But this is going to be good. I think that we should be building towards a fatal 4-way. I know that's weird for me to say, right? Because, but you can't have Apollo Crews wrestle Sami Zayn. You can't have that. And because it's two heels. You can't have them wrestling. Kevin Owens has already been beat. So I think you can get away with a fatal four-way in this instance where maybe you have Crews win this match. He's definitely going to win the rematch as far as I'm concerned. I don't see any reason why he wouldn't win it. But you kind of have Kevin Owens come out there to sort of combat Commander Aziz. Because that's going to be one of the big things is you got to have somebody to counteract the guy outside the ring. So if you're going to have Big E out there fighting his hardest and everything, it would be good babyface form for Kevin Owens to come out there and at least distract Commander Aziz to give Big E the best chance to win. And then you just have Sami Zayn screw Big E either by accident or on purpose in order to set up the fatal four-way match. Now, this is a very rare occasion for me because I almost never pitch a fatal four-way or triple threat match. But I think that as a way to freshen up this feud, because Crews and E has been going on since February, right? It's been 2 to 3 months already, So I think you do need to freshen this up, and a multi-man match could do that. But you ultimately have to build up to some type of finish. You have to have something planned where these two guys can have the end of their feud. And you also have to build towards an end to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Now, they had the WrestleMania match. Kevin Owens won that match. Now, maybe you do some type of other match. I mean, is it possible for you to do Owens and Zayn at WrestleMania Backlash in some type of gimmick match? Okay, sure. If you don't want to do the Fatal 4-Way, you can always do some type of gimmick match. That could work. But I think that you have to, at some point, get Apollo Crews out of this situation where he's constantly wrestling Big E. He has to interact with other people, which means you also need to focus on other people as well. And I think Kevin Owens is a good opponent. Too bad they already, kind of gave that match away, because I think that match is a good match you could have built to, put some more time into. And I'm not saying you can't do it again, but the appetite for it is going to be substantially less now that you've already done it than if you had, taken your time and built up to it. And I think that, it's a difference. Now, what do you do with Big E? Because Big E, I don't think you give him the title back. I think that you just let Apollo Crews have it. So, but you have to do something to keep Big E on the winning track. And then maybe after Cesaro, you move Big E into that spot with Roman. Now, I know a lot of people might not like that because, you're not talking about a situation where Roman can conceivably lose the title. Most people see Big E and Roman as the match where Big E wins the belt. And that's a good idea. And I see that, Big E being the guy that gets crowned from Roman is fine. Of course, they're not going to do it anytime soon. They're certainly not going to do it without, not in front of crowds. Could you drag Cesaro and Roman to SummerSlam? I don't know. Can you drag Big E to Apollo Crews to SummerSlam? Absolutely not. So there needs to be something that, and Big E has had a long feud with Sami Zayn already. So we can't transition Big E to a feud with Sami Zayn. We can't do that. Now, we do have some other people who are not necessarily focal points of the show, Shinsuke Nakamura being one of them, that could challenge Apollo Crews going forward. You also have Jey Uso. Jey Uso is another heel, though. So you have those options. You also have the Seth Rollins option, but I think Seth Rollins is, of course, bigger than the Intercontinental title. But so you have some opponents for Big E. If he were to win, he could go on and wrestle Seth Rollins. He could go on and have another kind of feud with Sami Zayn, or he could, engage with Kevin Owens. But Apollo Crews kind of has Shinsuke Nakamura. He also has rematches with Kevin Owens. And you have, some other options that are floating around out there that might be useful. It's all about what you think might be more prescient at the time. And I think that, instead of trying to look too far ahead, I think WrestleMania Backlash should just be a fatal four-way. That way we can, have all of these guys involved with each other, but they're doing something different where they're not wrestling each other back to back to back to back in a best of 12 situation, like, the Mysterios and the Alpha Academy. That's a best of 12 situation, apparently, where, it doesn't matter how many times they wrestle. Nobody's going anywhere. Nobody's getting a tag team title match or anything like that. So I think that ultimately we have to, move this story forward. I think the only way to do it is to have a fatal four-way, you know. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel via Subscribestar, hit the bell for notifications, send cash via the Cash App, and I'll talk to you guys later, man. Peace out.